1984, Brave New World, and Fahrenheit 451 are the most iconic books about dystopian societies and serve as a scale for a negative development. Since our own culture is changing rapidly, I thought it would be a good time to actually investigate the question, how close are we to a dystopian society? Before we can make any assumptions, we need to actually define what a dystopia is. The dictionary gives us the following explanation. A dystopia is a community that is undesirable or frightening. Dystopias are often characterized by rampant fear, distress, tyrannical governments, environmental disaster, or other characteristics associated with a cataclysmic decline in society. Distinct themes typically include complete control over the people through propaganda, censoring of information, denial of free thought, worshipping an unattainable goal, the complete loss of individuality, and heavy enforcement of conformity. It is also a distinct theme that the governing class is often depicted as shallow, hedonistic, and elitist with a great superiority complex. Only a selected few outsiders will ever get the chance to penetrate those circles. Idealism and agendas overshadow and encroach into every aspect of life. Whether it is the Big Brother surveillance system in 1984, the designer caste system in Brave New World, or the burning of books in Fahrenheit 451. The privatized or planned economy either leaves many things to be desired or transcends into mindless consumption. Virtually all work is menial and unsatisfying. Regulations and bureaucracy suffocate any form of inspiration. Access to information is heavily restricted, and any form of thinking differently is considered heresy. Family is barely present, and the state has replaced God as the highest authority in this universe, which everyone has to obey. The reality is often so depressing and frustrating that violence and drug addiction is used to cope with the situation. The latter one is often tolerated, even encouraged by the ruling class. Because after all, no one is going to rebel if they have a way to escape into a different reality. You can almost tell that the path to hell or to a hellish society is paved with good intentions. Every utopia somehow has achieved nothing but the exact opposite of what was promised. Now let's see how far we've come and compare certain very prominent scenarios in said books to our most infamous recent events. Every totalitarian state has an interest in keeping its peasants stupid, which results in burning books and censoring the internet. Those who do dare to speak up will be ostracized and eliminated, which is also the reason for the surveillance. It is not only information that is heavily censored, but also beauty in every way is getting watered down. Because any potential inspiration will lead to wrongthink, and wrongthink is menaced with the status quo. One of the core elements that shape a human being is the family, a mom, a dad, and the kids. But the family restricts access to an overbearing government. Therefore it feels entitled to do whatever it takes to drive out the man in the relationship and replace him with what some nations would call the father state.
Among blacks, the homicide rates among black males declined by 18% in the 1940s, by 22% in the 1950s, and then skyrocketed in the 1960s, wiping out all that progress. And they had a different view of the world, and their view just did not meet the test of time.
One more instance of this kind of retrogression, the family. Again, discrimination and disparities. As of 1960, this one, I just find this one heartbreaking. As of 1960, 2/3 of all black American children were living with both parents. That declined over the years until only 1/3 were living with both parents in 1995. Among black families in poverty, 85% of the children had no father present, close quote. So it's not the legacy of slavery that destroys the African-American family.
It's the legacy of the welfare state.
And by the way, we see illegitimacy rates rising among everybody.
Yeah, and in other countries.
Then you ask yourself, what the fuck's happening with my kid? Why doesn't my kid love me? Why doesn't my kid have a relationship?
What is it? My
It's
kid,
not
listen.
even. It's not even your kid.
Bro, why
It's not even your kid.
Not anymore.
To battle the results of those policies, the government either refers to the coming final victory or simply drugs. In Brave New World, Soma is a potent legal high but is distributed to its citizens every day.
Continue our series on the opioid epidemic with a look at where the pharmaceutical industry fits in. Correspondent Doug McElway tells us it's a simple path, really. You just have to follow the money.
Previous proprietor and a previous name, then called the Save Right Pharmacy, could arguably be considered ground zero in America's prescription opioid epidemic. From June to September of 2006, the pharmacist here, James Woolley, ran what prosecutors call a pill factory, raking in as much as $20,000 in cash every day, which may have led to the heroin epidemic here in West Virginia, in Ohio, in Kentucky, and virtually across Appalachia. The euphoric sensation that opioids like OxyContin induce.
Your body just gets a warm sensation that makes everything in the world so much better, even though you don't realize that you're destroying everything in your life.
And the withdrawal?
You lay in bed and you shake and you feel like you could cut your legs off or your arms off and it would just feel better than having to lay there and feel the pain.
A hedonistic, immature society pumped up on drugs to avoid discomfort will lead to, how do I say it without getting the yellow sticker? They will avoid touchy subjects, like cancellation rates. And why? Because it would raise questions. Why is 80% of a certain group feeling left out? Why is another demographic sticking to wine and cats after a certain age? Why is there an overall general rise of extreme insecurity? Who could have thought that all of those policies psychologically damage a human being, despite the progress that we've made? Medical science has made such tremendous progress that there is hardly a healthy human left. Language is the source code of the mind and of a culture. If you artificially narrow the vocabulary, it will also change the world around you. Imagine lacking words for the most fundamental things in your life. In 1984, Newspeak was invented as a sole means of communication. It was deliberately designed to eliminate all contrary concepts of a party. After all, freedom cannot exist without the word freedom. Words can be like X-rays if you use them properly. They will go through anything. You read and you are pierced.
So, there's no word for love in North Korea. There's no word for liberty. There's no word for human rights. So if you don't know you have the right to have a free hairstyle, if you have the right to travel, how do you demand it?
Constant shifting definitions are also part of the gaslighting game.
Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is? You want to tell us what a woman is?
A language evolves and gains concepts through words and thus broadens the knowledge and awareness of its speaker. Newspeak eliminates those ideas and therefore it makes you more dumb and more controllable. Never have so many been manipulated so much by so few. All of this looks in practice can be seen in Fahrenheit 451. In the future, firemen are not responsible for extinguishing fires, but for burning undesirable media. Guy Montag never questioned his doing until a series of events turns his life upside down. Torn apart between the popular narrative and his newly acquired beliefs, that he ironically gained through the same media that he swore to destroy, are center of his development. You don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. Just get people to stop reading them. Ray Bradbury. If we look at the Latin origin of the word book, it is liber. But liber is also part of the word liberty, or freedom. You can almost translate it into freedom through reading, and those thoughts are not that far off. We literally can read the minds of the writers and gain a look into different times, lives, and mentalities. Just the Bible alone, the book of the books, is restricted or forbidden in 52 countries. In fact, everything that inspires you can be considered dangerous by a certain class. There will be, in the next generation or so, a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorship without tears, so to speak. Producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies, so that people will, in fact, have the liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it. Now, how close are we actually to a dystopian society? I guess you know my answer, if you watched the video until now. History repeats itself and we are always, really always, just one generation away from tyranny. So never forget that. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. If you think this video was double plus good, then leave an upwards thumb and become brainwashed. Join the patriotic fight against wrongthink by clicking that button next to my name. That's it for today and I hope to see you next time. Bye.